Hello there, and welcome to the Last Time Film Podcast, where we talk film, TV, games, and all that jazz like there's no tomorrow. This week, following on from last week, we are talking about the amazing Spider-Man Duology, Marc Webb's reboot of the franchise. My name is Tom,
Yeah,
and as always, I'm
Marc
joined by
Webb.
my co-host, Marc Webb. What a guy! And as always, I'm joined by my co-host, John.
Hey, sorry, I just loved it, that Marc Webb, because it's just so.
That's weird, isn't it? It's just a
It's
weird
weird, yeah.
coincidence.
You thought, yes, I'll make a Spider-Man film, and then not realizing, oh, Webb, yes,
He
I'm
was the
perfect for
perfect guy for the job.
it. Yeah, director and everything. So
That's why. That's why
yeah,
they hired him. It wasn't because of 500 Days of Summer. It was because his name was Webb, and they were like, "Oh, he knows what he's doing."
yeah, yeah. So this one was an interesting reboot because um I didn't get to see the first Amazing Spider-Man in cinemas, but then I
Okay.
saw the second one in cinemas, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. Like back then, but now, I mean, I still love them, but the second one was a bit all over the
Hmm.
place
Well, let's
because
let's
yeah,
talk about
yeah,
the let's talk about the series as a whole to start off.
yes,
Um.
and
So
then
yeah,
we'll go
this
one by one. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like this is definitely like it's so different from what the Raimi films were. The
Mhm.
tone is different. You can tell that it's made in the 2010s. I saw both of them at cinema. I remember seeing them both very specifically at the cinema. So I feel like these ones hold like a lot of nostalgic value for me.
Mm.
Um, and I think very positively about them. I'm not gonna lie. I know people hate them, and literally a couple of weeks ago when we had our friend Joe from Head Dog Films on talking about Eternals, and he was, I know he'll have a lot of thoughts about what I'm about to say, but I have a lot of positivity about these films, but obviously I don't think they are without problems.
Yeah, yeah. So as a whole, as you said, it's got a different tone, a different story in it. Like it holds to the characters' motivations a lot different what we've
Mm,
seen in before the Spider-Man films, because we haven't really thought about the different stories of Spider-Man. But I mean, in the comics you have, but this one was more experimental, if I say
yeah,
what they
no,
did.
yeah, it goes some really questionable routes. Some that I think are real bad ideas. Honestly, should we get started with the first Amazing
Yes,
Spider-Man
let's go
film?
with the first one. The first one just took on a really serious note. Well, sometimes it,
Mm,
it did, but with
mm,
with Uncle Ben. I mean,
yeah.
that's the cool thing with the Spider-Man thing. As I said last week, with Uncle Ben being the primary motivation for being Spider-Man. With great power comes with great responsibility. But this Uncle Ben just took it out, like fleshed it out a bit longer, just like for
Yeah. Your father believed something. He believed that if you could do good things and you had a moral obligation to do those things, that's what's at stake here, not choice, responsibility. Like, just say, like, this kind
say
of
it.
begins this begins the trend of them. Um, I don't know, have an unwillingness to just kind of like address these things that were done so well in the original film. Like, obviously, in the MCU, we'll talk about this next week, but
Yeah.
in the MCU, they haven't dealt with any of these parts of his origin at all. And I
No.
think this film is at its best when it doesn't do the origin stuff.
No.
Like,
But I'm
I
glad.
think I
Yeah.
think as soon as you get kind of like Uncle Ben's death, after that point, then it begins to carve its own identity. Then we begin
Yeah.
to see, I feel like that first, maybe what is it, like 30-40 minutes is very, it's just kind of like, it's like what Raimi did, just not as well,
No. Yeah.
like I think I understand why they did it. I understand they wanted to be like, oh yeah, this is a dark reboot. It's so much different. But I feel like, it catches a lot of flack for doing like similar things. And I think that that's fair enough. I think that you don't want to start it on a bad note, but
No.
I think the opening of this film isn't the best, really.
Yeah. The opening. Well, it again. It just never crosses our mind what happened to Spider-Man Spider-Man's parents in this universe. You know, like what? Well, in this one, Richard Parker, yeah, he was working for Oscorp. So yeah, it that's the one thing that it's really sad that we don't get to see the questionable stuff that happened with Richard Parker. Well, Spider-Man 2 cancelled, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 cancelled.
Right.
So, yeah, and the second one, well, the second one expands on that, but we'll talk about that.
It does. I think that is the part of the series. The one element that I think was just a terrible idea.
Yeah,
honestly,
just a terrible idea. Why?
Spider-Man?
Why would you do that?
Like, it doesn't matter. There are questions about it, but nobody ever thought that was entwined with his identity. You know, it's the same mistake that they made in Star Wars with Rey. You don't need to know her identity. You don't need to know who her lineage is. It's not important. In the second film, obviously we'll get to it a bit later, but they reveal that the spider bite, the DNA used Richard Parker's blood. So essentially, only Spider-Man or somebody else in his family could become, only Peter Parker, should I say, or someone else in his family could become Spider-Man because they have that blood. It's not about him being at the wrong place in the wrong time, or the right place in the right time. It's not about just a stroke of luck or a coincidence. Now it's destiny that he should become, you know. And I feel like that's not what Spider-Man's about, you know. No. This element of the character, I don't think it works. However, to this film's credit, to the first film's credit, it doesn't. It kind of introduces the parent thing, and then I think it uses it in an interesting way. The plot line with Ben, and you know, Peter having this kind of chip on his shoulder about having lost his father and not feeling like he has a father figure, when all along he had Ben right there beside him. He had this man who, you know, he looked up to and who he could see as a father, you know, who he, in his final moments, you know, he slammed the door in his face and he yelled at before he got killed, you know. I think that is really strong. And as I say, as soon as Ben dies, I think you get so much good stuff in this film. They don't. Let's talk about Peter Parker, Andrew Garfield. In my opinion, my humble opinion, he is the best Peter Parker. He's the best Spider-Man. He is my favorite actor to take on the role. He is. I love him as an actor anyway, but like, I love his portrayal of the character. No, he's not optimistic and lighthearted. He's not goofy like Tobey Maguire. He's not that kind of like old romantic. He's more like what I would associate to be a real teenager. He's got a chip on his shoulder, you know, there's a quote from Marc Webb where he says that when you're that age, every emotion is cataclysmic. And I think that is very kind of, it's an astute way of putting it, really. You know, every kind of thing that Peter feels is so kind of overwhelming to him, and you really understand that. And I feel like, you know, especially as a reboot that wants to set itself apart from the Raimi films, having this darker Peter who feels the weight of emotion so much more and pushes people away, you know, I think that's some really strong stuff, and I think it works really well in this film.
It just never crossed my mind about how good of a Peter Parker Andrew Garfield was. Like, what he had, you know, as you said, he got a chip in the shoulder, but he isn't really the best Spider-Man. But Peter Parker, he had that, the embodiment and, you know, what, the characterization. I just never crossed my mind about that, because I don't really rank on the Spider-Man, because I just thought, okay, Tobey Maguire is like the best Spider-Man, but then thought about like the different characters. I thought, okay, that's interesting. So but yeah, after you know what you said about after Uncle Ben's death, we see a lot of good stuff from this film. But but the opening was just slow. It was just like nothing exciting, honestly, because the way, you know, with the second film, it opens up with them in a plane, and then it never comes back to that. Like the first one, it never come back to like a lot of stuff with, you know, what's happening throughout the film. Like, oh, okay, he's Spider-Man, but then it never crosses back to, you know, Richard Parker in Oscorp, because that could be really interesting to see. But
it was, you know, going to. There's a lot of there's a lot of stuff cut from these films. Honestly, the second one there's less released, but obviously in the second one you've got Mary Jane, you've got more stuff with Harry, you've got some, various things. But in the first one, the amount of stuff that they cut is really astounding, really. One of the things being they were gonna, delve more into his parents, but because of the first trailer, which marketed it as the untold story and marketed a lot about the parents, and obviously fans were upset about this, they kind of reshot and changed a lot of it. I did at the end of college, I did a project about the Spider-Man films, and like, how how the business side of Sony kind of like, imposed themselves upon, it's like we were saying last week of Spider-Man 3. They made changes to the original vision, and you get that a lot in these films. I think there's just so much that evidently they wanted to delve into, but it kind of falls short,
Right.
It's a shame, really. I'd love to see the web cut of both of these films. I think there's so much stronger stuff that we could get into. Like, let's talk about the lizard.
The lizard. Yes.
There's loads of stuff with him as well that would have made his character stronger. But having said that, I think he's a pretty strong villain.
Yeah, I agree. Like throughout the film, you could see that he wanted to, to get regenerate. I don't know why it regenerates cells.
He's healing his disability, I guess.
Yeah, and that really throws him back up with, at the end he wanted to use the chemical to make everyone turn into a lizard at the end, to say that his weakness, and that really reinforces him, like he wanted to be have his arm back. So I thought he was a strong villain throughout the film.
There's a lot of similarities to Norman Osborn. In Spider-Man 1, this scientist who's kind of under pressure and ends up testing something on himself. But I like that he feels broken. He doesn't feel like he can be whole. There are similarities between Peter and Kurt. Peter feels, again, like he isn't whole without knowing what happened to his parents, while he's kind of ignoring, all the good that he can do. When Uncle Ben dies, you have this, we'll talk about it a bit more later, but, he goes kind of like on a revenge spree before realizing what he can do as a hero. Whereas, Kurt goes down the other route and, to try and regain what he sees like his full, like, image, he becomes this monster. When he could do loads of good as a scientist, and he has been doing loads of good. One of my favorite things about the lizard is this final moment on the Oscorp Tower. Peter's falling, and Kurt, having transformed back, grabs him, and his arm starts to flake away because it's, because the serum has been done, so it begins to fall off, and Peter's gonna fall, and so Kurt grabs Peter with his other arm, his human arm. He embraces his humanity after so long being consumed by this lizard persona. And I think that is really strong. And there's, again, so much deleted stuff that would have made that more. He has a son. There's a deleted scene where he talks to his son. They show the mice having like grown limbs back, which kind of shows that when Peter follows him down the sewers and just kind of stumbles upon his plan, which is a stupid scene. He just has his evil plan playing. Well, in the original cut, Peter finds Kurt having transformed back into himself, and persuades him to help, and Kurt takes him down, and then Kurt explains his plan to Peter, and kind of like has a heart-to-heart with him, and then Kurt begins to transform into the lizard, and then Dr. Rather shows up. The doctor who is the CEO from Jurassic World. He is and he kind of disappears in the film, but in this deleted scene he comes back and he deals with the lizard, and he says, and he's like, Peter, why did the spider serum work on you and no one else? And then the lizard kills him and then escapes into New York. Like, this whole 10-minute sequence was just cut from the film. Like, what? Why? I have no idea. Why? But it's so there's so much stronger stuff in this deleted material, but I think that even though there is still, I think that some of the strong elements, apply. I think the fight scenes with Lizard are amazing.
I think they're great. The fight scenes with Lizard, at the end, and as well in the series. So yeah,
like honestly, like the Marc Webb is so good at like shooting the action in this, and just the cinematography in general. These films have such style. They use color and shadow. Like this film especially, this film is obviously a lot darker than the second film. It uses shadows so well, and it has so much flair. And I think the action scenes are just loads of fun. I get the spider suit as well. I love this spider suit. Sure, it looks like a basketball and whatever, but it's like an early suit for Spider-Man to wear, and I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
Seeing him make it, like seeing him like printing out like the spider symbol and trying to make the web shooters. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, and I thought it was a bit more I don't know, realistic. You know what I mean? Like with with the symbols on the suit, I felt like it was more a rougher version of it, but like a grounded version of the suit. So I really like that, and so much that energy is put into the suit. But I mean, like in the Raimi trilogy, you can see like some of the stuff, but there wasn't like enough emotion for the suit. But this one, I thought with Andrew Garfield, I thought there was like with a lot of action within the suit. I mean, especially in Amazing Spider-Man 2, we'll get onto that. That one.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I praise the visuals for this film, Amazing Spider-Man 2 takes it to the next level. But yeah, I think that there's so much of this film that it's not necessarily better than the Raimi stuff, because obviously, especially in Spider-Man 2, the swinging and the action is better than it's ever been. But I think that it's different, and it carves its own identity in such a way that it's just as cool, I think. In this film, again, I think this is chopped up in the edit. There's but the first time that you see Spider-Man's suit is this long take, first person long take of Spider-Man running, and then he jumps onto a building, and you see the reflection of his suit coming into the reflection on the glass. And I think that's a great shot, but it's chopped up. It's a long take. It was in the trailer, but it was chopped up in the edit, and it's so annoying that had to happen. But even so, the swinging, when he stops the car thief, and then the police chase after him, and he's swinging underneath the bridge. That was practical. They actually built a New York street, and they had a rig for a stunt guy to swing. How cool is that?
Where?
I know, right?
That's amazing. Oh my
God. Exactly. It's incredible. And so many of the techniques used in the Raimi trilogy, sometimes that trilogy has some shot, some kind of distracting CGI. This film does not. The lizard looks insanely good. Every time that there's an action sequence or anything where it's CGI lizard, CGI Spider-Man, I think it looks insane. It looks incredible. The textures they put on it, the detail, the suit isn't clinging to his skin. There's ripples in the suit where wind is. It's so cool.
Yeah, I really the CGI throughout the film was just spectacular. Spectacular Spider-Man with a lot of stuff. Oh yeah, I remember the TV show.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
With the CGI, I thought it was the next level. I thought there wasn't any trouble with it, and the lizard, I thought, I agree with the lizard. It just looks insane. It's just I don't know. I thought throughout the film, lizard was just a really good central villain, because with the Spider-Man stuff, Spider-Man 2 has suffered a lot of villains, but this one I thought it was really good grounded villain that we needed to see, and it was completely different, and it wasn't Dark Ark or some crazy villain that you see, like Green Goblin. But I thought this one was just like a really good start to to understand Peter Parker's world with Oscorp and everything. And you don't really get to see a lot of Oscorp stuff with in the Raimi trilogy. I mean, yeah, I don't mind about that. I don't mind. But this one, I thought it was really interesting to have that relationship between Kurt and Peter Parker throughout the film.
Yeah.
They're trying to do something throughout the film. They had the same goal, but then as one he heals himself, and then there's parallels you can see with Spider-Man. He gets bitten, he gets powers, and then Kurt he goes on the wrong path. So that's really good. I really like the parallels throughout the film. So yeah.
I agree. There's this there's this line where Peter says to Gwen, "I have to stop him. I have to, because I created him." This film doesn't forget that responsibility that Peter has. So often, and this is like the big overarching thing. He's gone to Oscorp. He's working with Kurt. Who he feels like is more of a father figure. Has this science background and stuff, and he's forgetting about Ben, who's been there for him this whole time. And they have a really good connection. Peter says to Ben, "Hey, Uncle Ben, you're a pretty good dad, okay?" And then he loses him because he was selfish and because he was doing something to fill this hole that has already been filled. He just doesn't realize it yet. And I think that is, I just think it's so good. I really don't know what else to the villain, as you say. I think every single Spider-Man villain in all 7 films is a victim. Sometimes it doesn't work. I think, for example, Mysterio, we'll talk about it next week. Sometimes it really works, Green Goblin, Doc Ock. And I think Lizard is one of those that, he's a victim of just wanting to heal himself. And, he was under pressure and he goes too far. But what I think I love about that is that he, as I said, he regains his humanity at the end. I think that's so important. Whatever they do with the villains in No Way Home, I hope they don't just have them be, evil for the sake of evil. I hope they remember that they are victims, and that they are people who Spider-Man taught empathy and, who taught to be better. And they just need to remember that because it's so important in every single film.
Yeah. And how it works with with character development throughout this film. And I thought it was well structured with, what Peter Parker goes through. And Gwen Stacy. Gwen Stacy was, I can't well I only watched the film, but I thought the relationship between Peter and Gwen was, I don't know, was it I don't know. I was just I watched the film 2 days ago and I was like, oh okay, with Gwen and Peter's, oh yeah, and there's the relationship between and Peter and his dad and her dad as well.
Yes.
Yes. I can't believe I forgot about that. I was like really amazed about how this film still holds up. But yeah,
you were
I don't know,
amazed at the Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah, honestly, Gwen, I think a lot of people praise this film for Peter and Gwen's relationship. And yeah, I've heard critiques of it as well, but I think that it's incredible. Obviously, Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone have electric chemistry, man. Like
they do. Come on.
They were dating in real life, which is a weird curse of the Spider-Man films. Like first Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst, then Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield, and now Tom Holland and Zendaya. Like they've all dated and they've all played like romantic. That's
is
weird.
It like the work and magic of Spider-Man or something? Like the film,
the magic of the spider.
Oh my god, Spider-Man, and
can't get enough of that Webb. But I don't know what that was. Marc Webb, yeah. But
you didn't make that joke. Okay, carry on. Just move on, please. Don't
forget it ever happened.
Please don't explain.
Gwen Stacy, I think, is so strong. She, okay, as I said last week, I love MJ in the Raimi films, but she doesn't really do anything like proactive in the plot, But
yes.
Gwen is, she's like helping out with like making like the antidote, and she's competent, and like she helps. Like one of my favorite scenes is where Peter, like, you know, arrives in her room and he's been like slashed to like pieces by the lizard, and she just sits with him and like cleans his wounds, and she tells him, this isn't your responsibility, and he says, no, yes it is, I have to stop him. I think that's Spider-Man. That is Spider-Man right there. He's sitting there with somebody, and at the end, Captain Stacy is death. I think he's another great character who doesn't believe in Spider-Man, but then seeing who this person is, this kid who who has a good heart, and he can see that he's had a good heart, and he decides to trust him and fight with him. And his death at the end, I think, really hits hard. And I love his speech. You're gonna make enemies, people are gonna get hurt, and I want you to promise me one thing: leave Gwen out of it. And I love that he does leave Gwen out of it. And the scene where he breaks up with her is amazing. The bit where he's kind of like, oh, I'm going to be with you. That's, I mean, I feel like there should be more of a sense of like consequence, and a sense that he feels, I don't know, kind of like, that his responsibility stops him from having what he wants. Very, very Spider-Man 2 kind of like, am I not supposed to have what I want? That kind of thing. But I think that's very well developed in Amazing Spider-Man 2. But nonetheless, I think that stuff is it's just another really, really strong part of the film. This film nails what Peter with other people. I think every time that Peter, his relationships with every single person is so well defined. Peter and Aunt May, I think, is amazing.
Yeah. Wait. Well, I don't know. Yeah. I was I'm focusing on too many things at once. Because okay. I was no, wait, relationship. Because the film has a lot of stuff to go through, and I appreciate that. Yeah. I completely forgot about the relationship with Aunt May and Peter Parker. Oh my god! And there's so many things going through. Okay, yeah, I thought the relationship between them was pretty strong. You can see that throughout the film as well, in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 as well. Yeah, and I thought it was more grounded with the Raimi. Well, the Raimi stuff, it was more a little bit comical, but I loved it. It was like that old grandma with Aunt May, like fighting Doc Ock. I mean, she has the willpower to do that, and like yeah, man. But yeah, I thought this one was like more emotional with especially Uncle Ben killed in this film. So yeah.
What I love about every night Peter comes back, he's been beaten up, and and May, she's struggling, she doesn't have Ben, and she's like, what what's going on? And he's like, go to sleep, and she's like, I can't sleep, don't you understand? This is like, this has been so difficult on me, and you're just like, you're not like talking to me. She needs her nephew, and unlike Toby, this is a different Spider-Man, different Peter. He pushes her away, he pushes everyone away, and he gets consumed in this idea of revenge. But what I love so much is that at the end, Peter comes back and he's beaten up once more, but he gives Aunt May the eggs, symbol of him. He's going to be there for her, and he's going to try, and they hug. And I think it's so, and then even at the end, he breaks up with Gwen, and she's like, Peter Parker, if there's one thing you are, you're good, like, I think that stuff is so strong. I think this is the best cast in any Spider-Man film. This is my favorite Uncle Ben. This is my favorite Aunt May. This is my favorite Peter Parker. Favorite Gwen Stacy. Even Flash Thompson. The scene with Flash, you get like 3 main scenes, maybe 4 main scenes of Flash in the film. Obviously you've got the main kind of bully stuff, and then Peter humiliates him. But one of my favorite scenes is where Peter just lost his uncle, and Flash comes to him and he says, and he's like, hey Parker, and Peter, like, he strangles him against his locker, and Flash is like, it feels better, doesn't it? Your uncle died and I'm sorry. And Peter, he just like hangs his head, in pain. And at the end, they have found this understanding of each other. And Flash has got the Spider-Man t-shirt on, and Peter's like, hey, nice t-shirt. And Flash is like, hey, the dude's crazy. That's like, in the comics, that is like one of the really cool things about Flash Thompson. He begins as a bully, but there is then empathy that is explored with him, and he becomes a friend to Peter, as we see in Spider-Man Life Story. Where
Oh
Peter still has
yeah.
that kind of chip on his shoulder, and when Flash goes to fight in Vietnam, in Spectacular Spider-Man, there's just so many times, and the Raimi trilogy didn't do it, and that's fine. We yet to see if the MCU trilogy will do it, but yeah, their interpretation of Flash definitely
Yeah.
something.
Flash. Yeah, Flash was
You're gone.
really. Yeah, I thought there's the problem as well. We don't get to see like a lot of like moments where Spider-Man. Well, we did in this one, like in Spider-Man being bullied by Flash, and then you can see that relationship build up. Him not bullying Peter anymore. Like what you said about Spider-Man life story. That one was pretty emotional. That one, and I thought that was another strong thing as well. Because I like how the film really takes from the comic book ideas of Spider-Man. Like the serious, it experiments with serious tone, and combines with the energetic Spider-Man. Like Peter Parker, and then like what Spider-Man is like, especially at the end when the city is helping him to fight against the lizard. When the builders, the builders, like they get the crane.
Man. I love that scene so much. The journey that Spider-Man goes on, he's out for revenge. He isn't becoming Spider-Man because of a duty of responsibility for good. He's doing it out of selfishness, out of revenge. But then, when the lizard attacks the bridge and he saves that boy, one of the best scenes in any Spider-Man films, he saves the boy on the thing. It's like, put on my mask and give you powers. And then he gives him back to his dad. And his dad says, "Who are you?" He says, "I'm Spider-Man." And it cuts this beautiful shot of Peter, in the darkness with this beam of light coming down of him as he looks at his mask. Spider-Man is the beam of light in his life to give him something to fight for, and he realizes, this is my responsibility. I'm not just here for revenge anymore. I am here for, people critique that Spider-Man is out for, that Peter is out for revenge, but that is just the beginning. And what he learns is that he has this responsibility and that he can be good. And I love it, man. And that comes back at the end, all the good deeds that he does. It comes back to that very first good deed, helping that boy, reuniting him with his father. And the people of New York, they come back to save him, and they line the cranes up so he can swing to Oscorp. And it's brilliant. You've got the amazing score by James Horner. Again, brilliant Spider-Man music. And I love it, man. I really do.
Yeah, it's great. Music as well. Oh, the music, that's the most memorable part of this film, with music, and like how it really builds up with the orchestra. Yeah. Especially the beginning of Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh yeah. Well, in Amazing Spider-Man 2, they have Hans Zimmer doing the score.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So like, it's the weird trend that like, okay, so Danny Elfman did a Batman score and then a Spider-Man score, and then Hans Zimmer did a Batman score and then a Spider-Man score, and then Michael Giacchino did a Spider-Man score, and now he's doing the Batman score.
What?
This weird kind of another weird Spider-Man Batman, like it's like these weird trends that are now like coming out, like so weird.
Oh my god, what the heck? I'm looking to like Hans Zimmer's like old music right now, and there's a lot of stuff that I haven't realized that he's done. Well, I knew that he did Kung Fu Panda, but
yes,
he did like video games. He did Skylanders.
What? No, that's cool.
What? No way. He did Skylanders.
That. Brilliant.
No way. He did.
I have so much more respect for him. That's mad.
No way.
Mad.
No,
what a guy.
No way. No way. No way. No way.
No way home.
And he did Call of Duty. No way. Modern Warfare 2.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
He did a couple for video games for a while. He
always
did the Boss Baby.
What? No way. Ugh, that is just a Boss Baby, just a boss. Honestly, it makes me sad though, because Hans Zimmer has done all this stuff and then he didn't do Justice League, and it makes me so sad. Like, he did the Boss Baby and he didn't do Justice League. And when we're looking,
Oh,
and when you watch the Snyder Cut, you have to have like Junkie XL score, which isn't a bad score, but man, it goes too hard sometimes. Yeah,
He even did the
exactly.
sequel.
Did he? He came
Yeah.
back for Boss Baby 2. I love it. I love it.
I'm just looking at like No Time to Die, June.
Oh yeah, No Time to Die. Brilliant.
And then Boss Baby. Oh my God. Dark Phoenix. Oh, okay.
He did do Dark Phoenix. One of the only good things about that film.
Great.
I was watching the Apologist. I'm so sorry. Let's before we move on to Amazing Spider-Man 2, what are you gonna give Amazing Spider-Man out of
10? I'm feeling like a 9 to it. Like
high praise. High praise. I'm going to go 7. So it's great. I really love it. I just think that it struggles to carve its own identity, especially at the beginning, and it's edited to shit. Honestly, this film is so over edited. I hate it. It's not always a problem, but I definitely think that release the Webb cut like 100%.
I'm gonna give it an 8 now because of what the editing. I just remember the editing. It was.
Well, there's this one scene.
Like Gwen. Dream.
When Gwen is hiding from Lizard.
Yes.
And the music's going like dun, dun, like really random. Oh, it was so annoying. Like I don't need the music to tell me when to be scared. Like please.
What? Hans Zimmer just did Army of Thieves.
Really? Yeah. God damn it, Hans! Why you do Justice League? I'm so annoyed.
What? Wait, I'm so confused. How did he? This is amazing. Like
he even did Wonder Woman 84 and didn't use the Wonder Woman theme like to its like best potential. However, he did use Beautiful Lie, and it was amazing.
Yes, Beautiful Lie.
Let's talk about Amazing Spider-Man 2, shall we?
Yeah, Spider-Man 2. Yeah, yes. So, Spider-Man 2. Let me tell you.
Amazing Spider-Man 2.
The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Careful. We'll have people in the comments.
Spider-Man 2. I'm not trash talking Spider-Man 2. I'm going to talk about The Amazing Spider-Man 2. But listen, the first 10 minutes. Yes. Listen, the opening, when Spider-Man, swinging through New York.
I thought you meant... I thought you were going to say Peter Parker's parents in the plane.
No.
Yes, cinema.
Ignore
Mary and
one.
Richard Parker.
We don't talk about that.
No, when the film came out, Sony released a video that said the opening 10 minutes of the film. Yeah, IGN, that's right. The opening 10 minutes, and it was just Peter Parker, like when he's fighting Rhino, not like the other bit.
let me tell you, right? So the way that IGN only had the video for the first 10 minutes of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and oh my God, it's got 205 million views.
What?
For the first 10 minutes of Spider-Man. Listen, you wouldn't get that for anything else. Like for the thing. And this came out 7 years ago.
We struggle to make it past 20 views every week. And these guys are just cropping like 200 million. Brilliant. I love it.
Like, it's still going strong. And like how the first 10 minutes really made impact for, everybody's like, oh my God, this film's going to be great. Like, this came out before the film.
Yeah, well, this is like...
Yeah.
For good reason, people like this. I think that this film's opening sequence is awesome. The spider symbol, going, through and the amazing Hans Zimmer score and him swinging through is brilliant, man.
Yes.
Like I think the swinging and the action in this is amazing. If I just kind of jump to the end of the film, the final battle with Electro is cinema, man. It's so cool. I recently retweeted on Twitter, and follow us at Time Film Pod. a clip of it, and I think it's so good. You know, the red of Spider-Man and the blue of Electro, and they're swinging in and out, and you've got like these slow motion shots, like it's a Zack Snyder film or something. It's so cool. Like this, like it has so much more style than like, you know, the Spider-Man films since, and I miss that. You know, I feel like even though this film is riddled with problems, I think it, you know, I've written, you know, in my notes, it has the highest highs and lowest lows of any Spider-Man films. I mean, maybe not as low as Far From Home, but still, you know, it tries to do so much and it's at war with itself. But when it does something well, god damn it, it does it amazingly. I think that this film, it's got some great moments, and I will never apologize for that. It's got some amazing stuff, and some not so amazing stuff.
No.
But yeah, where do you want to start, John? What do you want to talk about first?
Well, I'm highly praising, you know, the first 10 minutes after parents that Peter Parker's parents have been killed, or quotation marks killed.
Oh yeah, you know that you know Richard Parker comes back in a deleted scene.
Yeah, I saw
yeah.
that. I was like, what
That's
the heck?
so ridiculous. What's happening right now?
I mean, if they go along with that, like, well, they cancelled Spider-Man 3, and Kevin Feige even made Sony cancel Spider-Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man 3. So yeah, he was like, nope.
Yeah.
So
well,
yeah,
Kevin
I don't know what
Feige,
was that about. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have no idea. I guess we'd see if they did release a web cut. But Kevin Feige made notes on the film.
Right.
You know when they had the Sony email leaks. Now there's so much, man. There's so much in these leaks. They were going to do Sinister Six films, going to do a Black Cat film. They had plans for Amazing Spider-Man 3, 4, and 5. You know, they you know, obviously they were doing do Venom, which they eventually did anyway. But yeah, they had so many plans, and Kevin Feige, he sent them notes about Amazing Spider-Man 2, being like, you should cut this, you should cut this, you should cut this, and everything that he writes down is basically like the bad parts of the film. Like, I don't know why they didn't listen to him. He's like, cut the parent stuff, you know, like cut this scene, and it's like, yeah, that's the bad stuff in the film, man. Like,
oh wow,
I think this film is where you can see the parent stuff is so, like, it drags the film down so much, man. Like,
yeah,
oh my god,
it does. Like, it just ruins like the whole mood of the film. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you know, going through with Spider-Man, but also like Richard Parker's like, this one now with the like the horrible audio like that's coming out from TV, like, Peter Parker.
There is a train underground, a secret train in which that is the most stupid thing I've ever seen. What is happening right now?
Why? I just don't get it. Like, is there any relation to that train? No.
Why hasn't the city of New York found the train? Like, why have they just left this abandoned subway
why is
station?
it even there? Because every subway is used in New York. Like, from Coney Island to Brooklyn, like anywhere. Just I don't know if that's correct or anything, because like Coney Island could be next to Brooklyn. I don't know, but listen, like how that is used. That is the most ridiculous thing I've seen in the Spider-Man films. I mean, well, unless we're going to talk about the MCU Spider-Man.
Oh
film.
god, next week. Oh man, I'm so. Have you rewatched them yet?
I'm gonna rewatch them this week.
Oh god, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Please,
right, watch me now talk
everything about Spider-Man.
Watch me now positively talk about the Amazing Spider-Man 2 before I trash the MCU ones next week. I think Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yes.
The train is dreadful, but having said that, I think that Electro is almost good.
Yes, almost.
Here's
good.
The thing.
I agree with that. Like, Jamie Foxx plays as I forgot his name, but I know it's Electro. Max Dillon. Oh yeah. Oh, that the whole, you know, really nice tone, you know, with like Max. He's like, oh, he knows my name. Like, that is like
right?
a really proper opening to like a villain. You know, like he's very jumpy about Spider-Man.
Yeah. Another amazing part of the opening, you know, Peter saves this one guy, and he says, how do you know my name? He's like, you're written on your badge. It's like, I'm a nobody. And it's like, no, you're not. You're a somebody. He gives him hope. And what I love about that is that Max, is downtrodden by everyone. He's a nobody. He really is, and he's not seen by anyone because everyone are assholes. And yet he, Spider-Man makes him feel like he's important just for a moment. And yes, they take it too far because Max is like obsessed with Spider-Man, and he
Spider-Man.
yeah, and he's like talking to himself. It's like, you like that, Spidey? I like it a lot, Max. It's like a bit weird. But then like his eventual turn into Electro, I think his motivations are stupid. Like,
yeah,
okay, so the idea that he gets angry because Spider-Man forgot him, that's a good idea. Like Spider-Man's like, I don't know who you are, and Spider-Man's like joking around with him, and Max is like, you don't know who I am. You made me feel special.
You don't know who I am.
Feel,
just blacks out New York and say,
yeah, he's like, you don't know who I am. You made me feel special, and now you're just like, you're treating me, you're just you're a phony. Like, you're not like yeah, that could be really good. But no, the reason why Max gets annoyed at Spider-Man is because the TV screens in Times Square show Spider-Man instead of him. What? Sorry?
That is the worst. That is the worst
Excuse
way
me?
of like showing like the motivation. But no, it's just him getting mad at not being popular. I don't know if that's the right thing or not. Like what?
It's
the
really
whole film is
weird.
going. And like he's like fighting him in Times Square, but like back then I didn't even realize what was going on. I was like, oh, you must be like really sad about Spider-Man.
Right?
But now I'm like, what?
I mean, hey,
because he's mad about like not showing it in Times Square.
It's a great action sequence. In fairness, it's really cool. Spider-Man, like his web shooters explode and he's trying to catch police cars and save people from the metal as Electro is like shooting lightning at him, and then like that's really cool. But the setup of it, it's just stupid. Like, okay. Here's the thing, like you had like a really strong like way to have Electro hate Spider-Man, but he barely even cares about Spider-Man from then on. All he cares about is, regaining the power in the city. You've got like a really good like motivation. And if you just wanted revenge on Spider-Man, that would be good. Like if you want revenge on Spider-Man for making him feel like he was somebody, but he's actually nobody. And, he wants to, like make him pay for that. That's a good idea. But they don't run with that. And he just becomes like this weird, like machine with like just like generic dialogue. He's like Steppenwolf in Justice League. Okay, he's not that bad. He's not as bad as Steppenwolf in Justice League.
Yes. Not Steppenwolf.
Mother. Oh no, Steppenwolf in Justice League is the GOAT. He's awesome. But like yeah, in just Electro is so, and his action scenes are incredible. As I've said, the Times Square action scene, the one at the end in the power grid is awesome. Like just that stuff is it's excellent, but everything else is not really like as good, and he has so much potential. They just kind of ruin it. And how is Electro weak to water? Shouldn't water make electricity more powerful? Like,
wait.
What?
Wait. If he like is like using that hose to shoot that down, wouldn't Spider-Man be shocked? Would be like electrocuted from that, because the electrical current from that is going to pass through to the water, and then it's going to go on that. And
exactly.
The firemen are going to die from that.
Water carries can carry electric current, which is why like power leaks against water is so dangerous. I might be wrong about that. Let me Google it.
I might be wrong about that as well.
Water carry an electric current. Okay. No, pure. So we're wrong about this actually. Pure water doesn't conduct electricity by itself. It's the poor conductor of electricity. However, water contains charged ions and impurities that make it a very good conductor of electricity. Oh, okay. So when it's not pure. So I think it does,
it's not
because
pure.
Because why would I think it should. because what water is pure, right?
We might get dumb in the video right now. We're just we forgotten our GCSE science. It's like,
Mate, I hated science. I'm not gonna lie.
But if anyone in the comments can tell us, like, scientifically, like, if this like might be a plot hole or something, just tell us right now. Just like,
yeah, because in my opinion, he should be powerful against water. Water shouldn't stop him. But the thing that does stop him, I think, is really cool. Yes, I prefer it when a Spider-Man villain is defeated using the power of empathy. You know, as I said with Kurt at the end. Yeah, like, you know, I prefer it when Spider-Man talks to them.
Yeah,
but and that doesn't really happen here. But nonetheless, it's cool how they kill him. You know, they magnetize the web shooters and then they you know, they shoot it straight back at him. Cool action sequence, really. But yeah. Electro is it's like Spider-Man 3. Electro doesn't get enough time to shine or do anything really. Can I just say his theme song is the weirdest cool thing ever. It's like an amazing theme that, like, you know, it has like dubstep in it and it's really cool. But then there are these weird voices that are like whispering in the soundtrack and it's really, really distracting. Like there'll be voices being like, he hates me. And it's like, why don't you just have music telling us how he feels instead of having the music literally speak? It's so strange. I don't know if you noticed it, but it's really jarring.
Yeah, it's really strange. Can I just talk about the soundtrack? Like,
do it.
Well, the score, like, and the soundtrack as well. The one thing that I was really surprised is that Kendrick Lamar and who else? Yeah, Kendrick Lamar is a rapper, and he did a song for the
Thanks,
film.
John. I knew that.
Didn't even realize.
Yes, he did. Doesn't he do like one in the end credits?
But no, let me get the song. And I only recently found out about this, like, when I was watching. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, it's called "It's On Again," featuring Alicia Keys and Kendrick Lamar, and it's a great opening to. Hans Zimmer. I think Hans Zimmer also produced that as well. I think.
Oh yeah, I think they all had like a collaboration effort.
Yeah, and that was one thing I was really surprised. So yeah.
Speaking about the credits, I want to talk about the real weird thing about this film, the post-credit scene.
Yes, the post-credit scene. But the most annoying thing about the post-credit scene is like, how about we get all the Spider-Man? How about we get all these Sinister Six together and then just like, yes, and Peter Parker's dad in the deleted scene, like there, but.
Whoa. That's the end of the film. You're not remembering the post-credit scene, man.
What post-credit scene was it then?
It's a clip from X-Men Days of Future Past.
Oh, that.
It's the weirdest thing. Here it is.
I don't even remember that.
Marc Webb was gonna direct X-Men Days of Future Past, but he backed out of a contract to do that. So they said, okay, well, because you're doing Amazing Spider-Man, put a clip of X-Men into and it's Spider-Man 2. So they did. They put it into the post-credit scene, and it's a clip of Days of Future Past where Mystique goes to Vietnam to save the people. It's just weird in a Spider-Man. I remember 2014. It was my birthday, and I went out with my friends to watch Amazing Spider-Man. We came out, we were like, "Oh my god, Amazing Spider-Man is going to cross over with X-Men. Oh, cool!" It didn't happen.
No,
we all thought.
What?
It didn't. It's so weird.
I just don't get it. What was the marketing like for that? Like, at no point whatsoever. Like, it might be the most confusing thing that they ever did. Like, it's no relation to Spider-Man in its own universe. It's nothing to do like with this is Sony Marvel, then showing Fox Marvel.
I just realized we never gave a spoiler warning. Oh well.
Oh wow! People have seen the film already, and
of course they have.
It's like, "Oh my god, guys, you spoiled the film to me! You son of a gun!" And then angry.
Well, you know what? People are watching the Spider-Man films again because of No Way Home, and I'm talking to people who. So there's this one person at my university who's never seen a Spider-Man film other than the Tom Holland ones, and like a couple days ago, she was like. Yeah, right. A couple of days ago, she was like, "Oh, I watched the Andrew Garfield ones. They're amazing." And I was like, "Yep,
Watch
Told you.
the Tobey Maguire ones
Yeah.
now.
Yes. Watch
What
the
are you
good ones.
doing?
But
Does she know? Does she know that we have this podcast?
maybe I don't know.
Like, I don't know, but she might be hearing this and like, oh,
I mean,
why are these
I tell
people
everyone.
arguing
I
against
tell
me?
everyone about it.
I'm
I'm like,
trying to
hello,
watch
I've got a
them.
podcast. Please follow me.
Please, guys,
But
please. We're so broke. We need some subscribe. But
somebody comment. But yeah, it's so weird. This 2014 is such a
weird year.
it's a really good year for superhero films. So there were no DC films, unfortunately, but this year had X-Men: Days of Future Past, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Amazing Spider-Man 2. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is definitely the outlier in that, but that's 3 incredible comic book movies. Like amazing. Days of Future Past, one of my absolute favorites. Guardians of the Galaxy is amazing. Winter Soldier is amazing. Just a cracking year, really. Just a cracking year. Absolutely awesome. But yeah, let's now talk about Harry Osborn,
the
Green Goblin himself.
Okay. Can I just say something that I
Please.
didn't like? How it wasn't focused on, like in the Raimi trilogy, it was more focused on the first film with Green Goblin, aka Norman Osborn, Norman Osborn, and like
Norman Osmond.
No,
it's me, Norman Osmond.
I can't even say it right. I'm so sorry. Osmond. Okay. With Norman, in the film Osborn. Right. Okay. With Norman Osborn, like in the first film, he was like a really good character. Like that was really shown through with Peter and Spider-Man. Like the strongest villain. But this, what the heck? What the hell is this? Like
it's such a strange thing.
Why?
He doesn't get
on Harry. Why is it focused on Harry rather than not Norman? Like,
well, okay. Here's the thing, though. Interestingly, in the comics, Harry was Green Goblin for has been Green Goblin in the past, and it can be done really well. Again, Spectacular Spider-Man, one of the best Spider-Man things on screen you'll ever see.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do that plotline, and it's great. But I think here the thing is that I think that Harry's introduction with Peter, when he meets Peter, I think it's a really strong scene. You get immediately, like, you get this, you get a really good a sense that they are friends. I 100% believe that they are, and I think that it's really strong. However, from then, Harry just becomes all about wanting to cure himself, wanting to save himself, and he just becomes so one note, not layered. You don't really see the fear, you see more anger within him. He talks about how he wants Spider-Man's blood because Spider-Man can self-heal. Excuse me, what? Spider-Man's not Wolverine. When could he self-heal? Like, yeah, maybe he's got more strength than other people, but he can't. Right, whatever. Point being that he just becomes one note, and then at the end, when he comes back as Green Goblin, he's only in it for like 3 minutes as Green Goblin, and it's stupid. He hates Peter because he didn't give him his blood for good reason. Like, it's just. Yeah, I don't think Green Goblin's very well done in this film. Again, they should have focused on one villain and one villain only, but I guess they really wanted to do the death of Gwen Stacy storyline.
It doesn't work because with this, okay, if you're taking out Rhino, if you're taking out Electro and focus on Green Goblin,
Rhino, he's in this film too. So stupid.
Rhino, yeah, I completely forgot Rhino. But anyway, if you're taking out Rhino, the angry Russian dude, who's in a truck in the beginning of the film and comes back at the end of the film,
he does,
and gets hit by we don't know what happens next, so we don't know. And then we got Electro, who isn't really a well-developed villain in this one. I mean, you can with Max Stillion, but not really. But this will be a really good follow up to the thing is in our school, but what they're doing, and with Richard Parker, and as well with Norman Osborn. Like you can see the relationship between Richard and Norman in this one. Like how did it go all wrong? What were they doing?
Yeah.
But no, it's just Harry just like complaining on about like he wants Spider-Man's blood just to heal and like maybe not get this disease that is hereditary, and and he's like, oh, please give me the blood.
Yeah.
And then
here's the thing. Stick with an idea. Is this film a film about Spider-Man and Electro? Is it a film about Spider-Man and Gwen? Is it a film about Green Goblin? Is it a film about Sinister Six? Is it a film about Peter Parker and his parents? Come up with an idea and stick to it. It's doing so much, and so much of it is very clearly done so they can do various things in the future. But saying that, I think the heart and soul and the best part of this film is Peter and Gwen. Are you kidding me? I love it. Peter feels guilt over what he promised her father, and he has to break up with her, but he's still hung up over her because he loves her. They try to be friends, and you get, you get more of Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, this amazing chemistry, and they have this relationship that builds up, and she's going to Oxford, and she's moving forward with her life, and then he chooses her. There's this brilliant scene where he makes out of Webb's "I love you," and he takes her onto a bridge, and he says, you are everything to me, and if you're going to London, then I'm coming with you. Beautiful music as well, and that comes, Peter feels real consequences from that. Gwen Stacy's death is amazing.
Can I just
slow? Go.
It's a very powerful moment. Like we haven't even seen something that is more powerful in the Spider-Man. Like, I mean, with Harry's death in the Raimi trilogy, or with Uncle Ben's death in this one, these are really sad moments. But if you can have like really powerful moments that really change Spider-Man, as a whole, but like as he goes through, this is like the first ultimate death that second death that he goes through, and this is Gwen Stacy, the one that he loved like for a long time, and in the comic that is also well done. It's well done, developed on screen, and I really like that. And the moment where the web that like is like a hand to that, like giving that last hope,
desperately trying to reach for her, and it's beautiful. It's slow. The music is kind of like winding back like the clock. It makes Green Goblin's inclusion in this worth it. You've got a decent enough fight where Gwen is like in danger constantly, but that final moment, and she smacks onto the floor, and Peter, Andrew Garfield's performance, it's amazing. He screams in pain, yelling for her. Deleted scene. Peter was gonna then beat the Green Goblin up. Like, he was gonna beat the Green Goblin almost to death out of pain and anger. That would have been amazing. But
what? That was also shown in the comic as well.
Yes, exactly. That's one of the things in the comic. When Stacy dies, he tries.
You're kidding me,
However, I do like that they keep the emotions. I think the last 10 minutes of this film is so powerful. Peter, he's at the grave. He feels so extremely guilty and sad that he's lost the woman that he loves so deeply, so dearly, and then picking himself back up again. It's something that Aunt May says to him. Again, Peter and Aunt May in this film is great. They have a really good relationship, and Aunt May reminds him that that there is that it's important. With his parents, he kind of learns the same lesson, that he doesn't need to fill the hole. He can just have good things with the people who he's got in his lives, and not with his parents who he doesn't know. But still, Aunt May says to him, she's boxing up Ben's stuff, and and Peter's like, you're boxing his stuff away? And she's like, he's like, you're throwing it away? And she's like, no, I couldn't do that. I just putting it in boxes, and every time I do, I feel a bit lighter. I'm understanding that he's gone, and I'm kind of letting myself move on a little bit. And Peter does that. He listens to Gwen's speech from the graduation that was so long ago. And yes, it's essentially the same as Amazing Spider-Man 1, where he listens to a speech from somebody who's dead. But It's a beautiful moment. It really is.
Ah, the
And
speech. Mm,
yeah,
so
and
good.
then it is, it's about like living forever, and how like life, life is short, and then you got to make the most of it. Amazing music, by Hans Zimmer, as Peter looks at his Spider-Man mask and knows what he must do. And then one of the best Spider-Man moments that makes me like so like tear jerking, when the kid stands in front of the Rhino, in his Spider-Man outfit, and Spider-Man, and behind him Spider-Man says, "Hey, Spider-Man," and he's like, "Thanks for sticking up for me. You're the bravest kid I've ever seen. Go help your mum. I'll deal with this jerk." And then like everyone's cheering because Spider-Man's back, and he gets the megaphone. He's like, "On behalf of the fine folk of New York City and real rhinos everywhere, I ask you to put your mechanized claws in the air." And then he throws it like, "There's no place like home," and he runs at him. And obviously he's got the grate, and it's slow motion. You've got the beautiful Spider-Man scene, and he whips past the camera and cut to credits. I think it's amazing. Honestly, as I said, the highest heights of any Spider-Man film. It makes me so giddy. I love it, man. And yes, they didn't show the full fight, but who cares? It's so cool.
Yeah, I thought that was. I mean, and back then when I was like watching that scene, I was like, "Oh yeah, we're getting into it now. We're getting like fighting, Spider-Man fighting against Rhino." And then it cuts to credits. I was like sitting. I was like, huh?
What?
"What? I demand more!" But then Spider-Man 3 cancelled. Bam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just out of nowhere, just like, oh wow. But Kevin Feige, but why? Why did you?
Oh, Andrew Garfield should have been the Spider-Man in the MCU.
Yeah.
Honestly, it would have been
Why?
amazing.
Why? I
We'll
just
talk.
don't get why.
We'll talk about it next week. But honestly, I'm really happy with seeing him again. If you listen to like a lot of interviews with Andrew Garfield, he talks about how much
Oh, right.
those films broke him.
Right.
Wanting to do a good Spider-Man. And
Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man must be redeemed. I'm sorry, but like the thing that the Amazing Spider-Man 2 was like suffering through like so many villains and so many plot points that was happening at the same time, and Spider-Man 3 could have like cleared the whole thing up in a very somber but beautiful way. What he's
it
been
wouldn't.
with.
Let's be honest right now. It wouldn't have done that. It would have been more set up. Like, let's be honest right now. Apparently, apparently it was going to be Sinister Six, and Peter was going to get a serum that he could use to resurrect Gwen and Captain Stacy. Which is literally the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Why? No, you can't. Okay, I'm glad that.
But let's say that they did do Amazing Spider-Man 3, and it was somber and reflective, and it's about Spider-Man getting back out there and getting back on his feet. That would have been amazing. It really would have.
No, Sinister Six and resurrecting.
Oh my god! When Mr. Fierce goes through the he goes through the basement, and it's got all the suits. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
But it's Doc Ock there. Doc Ock's.
Do you know about the deleted stuff?
It's not even mentioned. Like,
do you know what else was there? Like the deleted things.
Tell me.
The Venom symbiote was going to be there, right, in the little ball, right, and the best one, Norman Osborn's severed head. Why? Obviously to make him the Green Goblin at some point. I don't know why, but it's just
severed head.
Yeah. It's baffling, but thankfully it's only like 2 seconds. Like, honestly, like, Mr. Fierce, it's like one shot. It's not even like that big of a deal, but it is stupid. I can agree with that. There's a really good montage in this film where the one where Peter's going through and he's like being Spider-Man over the months. Like he's opening his wardrobe and he's covered in like blue liquid, and he's got like a fish,
and he got cold.
Yeah, exactly. Great sequence. Like, and you get like to hear the city. Some people hate him, some people love him. You get Max Dillon, who's like, Spider-Man saved my life, and he's a friend of mine. That's really powerful. And if this film was just about Spider-Man going from day to day, throughout his day-to-day life, struggling with like the emotions, and maybe you have like Electro as like a main villain, it would have been great. And it really could have been great. And I'm really upset that it wasn't. But having said that, I don't think it's entirely worthless. I think it's got some amazing things. And I think there is as much good as there is bad. Do you have anything else to say before we give our final scores?
Wow, this Amazing Spider-Man 2 was a mess, but there's a lot of stuff that I love, like Gwen Stacy's relationship between with Parker, with Peter Parker, the whole thing with setup, especially her death as well. Like that was really powerful, that one. And the first 10 minutes, apart from the plane, with the parent, with that, we don't talk about that. We talk about the best 10 minutes.
What is there to say? It's just a stupid scene. The parent stuff is just ridiculous.
We haven't talked about that. I mean, that is just like so bad. Like what they're trying to set up there. Like, oh no, we have some data that has some Oscorp stuff, and then
quick, get my Sony laptop. I need to upload it to the secret train underground on my Sony laptop. Oh, it's stupid.
While in the airplane, but no. Why is he uploading the data on an airplane?
I don't even know. It's stupid. It's really the one thing that I wholeheartedly hate about this film.
Like, oh my god.
Yeah, it really is. It's
right.
ridiculous.
I don't want to talk about the pain that the film.
Okay, all right. Well, you can give it out of 10. Give me a final score.
5.
I agree, 100%. Fine. It's fine. It's the worst Spider-Man film we talked about so far. However, I think it's got a lot of good in it, and it's got bad in it as well. I think it's perfectly balanced, as all things should be. And in my opinion, it only goes downhill from here, baby. We're doing the Spider-Man MCU films next week. And just a side note, if anyone is interested, there is a fan edit online called The Parker Look, which edits together Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, and is really, really strong. The opening, right? It edits together the beginning of the film, with the amazing sequence where he's chasing Rhino, and the end of the film, like a montage of Peter just going through his day-to-day life, and it happens with Peter, like he swings the grate, and then it cuts to the graduation. They use the ending of the film as the beginning. It's really clever, honestly.
Wow.
I haven't watched it all yet, but I've watched the first half an hour of it, and it's really cool. Definitely recommend it. Fan edits are always really fun, and yeah, I think it reignites a lot of the emotions that Marc Webb was going for over the other stuff.
Yeah. I'm not really looking forward to watch the MCU again because Homecoming.
Well, you must.
Homecoming.
Yeah. So next week we are going to talk. Well, we'll use this as an opportunity to do our outro. Next week we're going to talk about MCU Spider-Man. So we're going to do Homecoming and Far From Home, and we'll also talk about Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame, just the Spider-Man bits. Similar to what we did to Black Widow, and then 2 weeks, John. 2 weeks. Talk about No Way Home, baby.
Yeah, No Way Home. Is it the same director? Is it the same director who?
Yeah, John Watts. Yeah, it is. I booked my tickets.
Okay, I'm gonna watch the films and see what went wrong. I'm gonna see what went wrong again.
I don't like those films, and we'll talk about it next week. But even so, I'm still really excited for No Way Home, and I booked my tickets on Wednesday the 15th. I'm going to a super screen showing. I'm really excited. It's gonna be great.
I need to what? I haven't got the tickets, bro. I need to get them,
dude. You got to get them before they sell out, because they're really, really popular.
Okay, I mean the one here, the cinema here, they weren't. Yeah. Were they?
Hey,
is it?
It might be. It might be. I booked my tickets 1 hour after they came live. Cinema was already half.
Well, I didn't know they were coming online. I thought.
Yeah, they came. They came available on Monday.
I didn't get notified though.
Oh, I should have told you. I'm sorry. But yeah, we'll talk about the MCU Spider-Man films next week. No Way Home the week after. Hawkeye the week after that, and then we'll take a break from Marvel and we'll talk about the Matrix Resurrections.
Yes, the Hawkeye show. I need to watch that though. Yes,
I've watched the first 2. I haven't watched episode 3 yet.
First 2.
Can I say the first episode was great. Episode 2 was fine. Episode 1 was great. I really liked it.
Oh, okay. I'll I'll watch. Oh, and I'll talk about, well, if we can talk about weekly viewing ever again. The last Duel. I'm gonna watch the last Duel.
Yes, I watched the last. We're not going to do a weekly viewing this week. We've already talked long enough, but I did watch the last Duel yesterday. It's good. It's cinema. Just a shame that I was on my phone the whole time. Ridley Scott, you little shit.
Ridley Scott.
Ridley Skit.
I don't know what.
Ridley Scott,
Ridley
more like
Scott.
Ridley Skit.
Wow, John, you're very
He's on it with the
don't know
comedy
why.
today, folks.
I don't know. Okay. Thank you for listening today. We enjoyed talking about the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. And
I can't wait for all those comments telling us why we are so very wrong.
Oh boy, everyone is going to be like, oh my
How
god,
dare you like these films?
The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is so good. It's cinema. More than Scorsese couldn't even see this film with his glasses on or something like that. Or
you know, Martin Scorsese, he actually didn't wear glasses, and then he watched Amazing Spider-Man 2, and his eyes set on fire, so now he has glasses so he can see. It's a true fact. It's a true fact.
True fact. It's because we give facts out.
You heard it here first, kids.
And,
I hope no kids listening.
Oh yeah. Be vaccinated as well if you go into the cinema, because you know the No Way Home.
Omnicron's coming for you, kids.
It's going to be like Omni-Man, but worse. Okay, it's going to be like he's going to be like, you know, everyone think, you know, what we're going to do. Wear your masks.
Do it.
Social distance, please, because we want to have these cinemas open and get vaccinated. What are you doing? Now?
And on a happier note, happy holidays. It's December, happy holidays to everybody celebrating whatever you're celebrating.
Whatever you're celebrating, happy Hanukkah or happy Xmas or anything that you celebrating. I don't know.
Xmas is Christmas for the X-Men. Let's go. Maybe one day we'll talk about Christmas films or something like that. But we don't have any space in our schedule. We're literally, you know, we've got we're all full until the end of the year. I know we'll do the best films of 2021. I'm excited for that one. Yes.
Oh yeah. Of course.
All right, and of course, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, or don't give it a dislike, because you can't see it anymore, so we won't know how many people disliked it. You do actually. We can see who disliked it, but nobody else can. So nobody will know.
It's done a very stupid job to, you know, get rid of dislikes, because we can't find out if the video is good or not. And
it's a bad idea.
It's a bad idea, and especially that they were really about, you know, the YouTube rewinds, you know, the YouTube rewind stuff.
Well, now YouTube Rewind has like 1 million likes, and they just ignore the 5 million dislikes.
The 19 million dislikes in the
19. Fuck, yeah, that's insane. Ridiculous.
It was so bad, and everyone was like, "Yeah, it's really bad. Like we don't care." And the guy who works for YouTube, he said, "Oh, so now we've seen people who are being really mean to content creators. Like what? Who?
Excuse me. Everyone has always been mean to content creators. Like that's just how it is."
Yeah, it is. But like with the dislikes, they're saying, "Oh, it's like a game. It's like a game to, you know, use these dislikes." It's like, no, it's not. It's just to find out if the video is good or not, and like what they're gonna do with it. And now they just really hurt about dislikes, and it's gonna be like 1984. But no, but but
Wonder Woman 1984.
Like the video.
Yes. Comment, tell us what your thoughts on the Amazing Spider-Man films are. You know, subscribe if you want to see more. We did the Raimi films last week. We're doing, as I said, doing the MCU films next week, and we've got loads of other Marvel content, some Spider-Man content, and just stuff from like latest films. We did Ghostbusters, we did Eternals, we did Dune. We got some great stuff there. And throw us an email as well if you want to ask us any questions, or you know, if you want something that you want us to reply to, we will definitely reply to that on the podcast itself. And you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, to hear my thoughts on various things, or to see all of our thumbnails, because we have them on Instagram. So yeah, I think that's everything.
Yeah, that's everything. Yeah. Thank you for listening. Yes. Oh, No Way Home. Matrix. Yes. Yes.
The Kingsman, apparently.
Oh.
That's happening.
Yes. Oh, yes. Anyway, take what you're given.
Give nothing back.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.